Hey everybody, welcome to week 6. Thank you for your work last week in building the glossary here, Strategies for Argument. You're going to find this very useful tool as we move forward into our Unit 2 assignments. So, in the glossary, your work was to define the different strategies for argument. That's the basic level. Identify what they are and define them. And so now we have this great resource. We've learned about these different strategies. Now it's time to apply them. Okay, so we're going to take these ideas, these strategies, and we're actually going to look for them in argumentative essays. We're going to see how they're being used and what that impact is on the argument. This is called analysis. And so Essay 2 and Unit 2 is all focused on analysis. So I want to step back for a second because a lot of students get confused when they try to analyze. They accidentally end up summarizing. Summary is a much easier skill than analysis. And so students will kind of fall back on this idea of summarizing rather than analyzing. So when we summarize, when we write a summary, we basically are restating in a shorter way what somebody else has said or written about. Okay, it covers the who, what, when, where, why, how. That's a summary. We're all very well practiced in summary. It's something we did a lot of in middle school and high school. Now we're transitioning to more critical thinking, more critical reading skills, and that requires analyzing. So an analysis is taking the whole and breaking it down into its different components, and then looking and examining how those components work, what is the impact of those components, and how do they contribute back to the greater whole of the argument. Okay, so summary, again, is just a review of what somebody said or wrote about. Analysis is actually picking it apart and thinking deeply, identifying what they did and what the impact is from that. So let's go back to week 6 here, because week 6 you're going to get to practice your analysis skills. So for week 6 and week 7, actually, we're going to put our own topic away for a little bit, because what we're going to do is we're going to first practice analysis as a group with the essays in the book. So if you grab your textbook out, you'll see that part 3 of the textbook, it starts on page 205, has a series of essays. It's actually chapters 8 through 12 is all essays, and there are a number of clusters. So for this week, you're going to choose one cluster. Every cluster is 4 essays long. So you're going to choose one cluster. You're going to read through each of those essays, and you're going to start to analyze what strategies did these authors use to construct their argument. Okay, so this is where the glossary is going to come in really handy, because you'll go back and you can refer to that to think about what strategies were used. Any of those terms will help identify components in the cluster of essays. All right, so you're going to choose one cluster. You're going to read all 4 essays. For each of those essays, you're going to identify one strategy used, one argumentative strategy used by the author to promote their side, to try to persuade you. And then you'll provide textual evidence of that strategy, and then you'll offer an explanation of how that strategy works or doesn't to support the author's argument. Okay, so we're going to do 4 little mini analysis exercises, one for each of the essays in the cluster that you chose. If you look on DB 2.1, you'll see that I posted my own thread as an example of how to structure that. It doesn't need to be a big formal essay style thing. It can be more outline-ish. So take a look at my post on DB 2.1 as an example. As your responses to your classmates, I want you to read through the post and decide, did the author's post summarize or analyze? Okay, did they just regurgitate what the topic of the essay was, what the author had said in that essay, or did they actually identify a strategy and show how it impacted the argument or the author's essay? Okay, if the author has summarized more than analyzed, then you're going to offer some recommendations about how that could be turned into an analysis. If the author has analyzed, you can expand on one of those analyses, or how you saw something else in that analysis, or maybe you have a different analysis of that strategy or that textual evidence. Okay, so this is going to be a really critical process because for essay 2, you are going to actually analyze the arguments that are currently present in your own topic. We're not doing that yet. First, we're going to practice our analysis skills, build our analysis muscles as a group with the textbook. And then you'll take that and you'll be able to apply it to the arguments that are surrounding your own topic. And you will analyze what people are saying, how they're saying it, what strategies they're using to say it for essay 2. So for week 6 and week 7, we're going to stick to the textbook with the cluster of essays and working on analysis that way. And then we will switch gears in week 8 back to your own topic, where you can then apply this practice in your own work. So if you have any questions this week, let me know, and happy reading and discussing out there.